Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'a sunnatahu ila yawmiddin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome again to another episode of your weekly Islamic chat show, Guest of the Week, coming to you from Sharjah TV. As always, I'm your host, Ismail Bullock, and today, inshallah, we want to talk about something that we should do, and we should do it a lot. But in reality, how often do we do it? And if we do it, are we really doing it to the level that we should? And that, brothers and sisters, is having shukr, being thankful to Allah. Being thankful to Allah. And this, inshallah, will be a very interesting topic and a very beneficial topic, and hopefully will be a way for, firstly, myself and for all of us to reassess our relationship with Allah, and are we truly thankful for the countless blessings that He gives us. And to do that with me, inshallah, again, in another episode is Ustadh AbdulRahman Hassan. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Jazakallah khair for coming on again.
Jazakallah.
Now, as I mentioned, we know, Allah says in the Quran, the meaning of which, if you try to count the blessings of Allah, you would not be able to. So the blessings are so vast. But we as humans and our shortcomings, we don't really thank Allah the way we should. So today, inshallah, I believe you're going to share with us the importance, the ways, possibly the things as well that stop you from being thankful to Allah.
Inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Sayyidina wa nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa tabi'ina lahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin amma ba'd. As you mentioned at the beginning, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala's blessings on us are too much. Wa in ta'uddu ni'matallahi la tuhsuha. If we sit down to count the blessings of Allah, you're right. There's no way we can ever say that this is how much the blessings of Allah is, are. It's too much. But what the scholars try to do is that they try to mention or categorize the blessings of Allah into two. That they said that there are blessings which are usul, fundamental blessings. And there are blessings which are furu', sub-branches. Whichever of those we mention, you will never be able to even mention all of the usul, and you'll never be able to mention all of the furu'. The usul are the fundamental blessings. Without it, you're nothing, and you won't exist, or you won't be. And there are blessings which are sub-branches. It will just reduce from you what you currently have if Allah was to take it away from you. The greatest blessing Allah has given us is the ni'matul Islam. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He says, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Islam, it's a religion, and it's a blessing from Allah Azza wa Jalla. Now what we need to do is, since we know we can't count the blessings of Allah, and we won't be able to put any number to it, we can't say this is how much it is. The only thing that we can do is just to say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
I mean, it's interesting that verse you mentioned. You know, this is the day that I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor, my blessings upon you.
Mm-hmm.
Showing, like you mentioned, that Islam is the ultimate blessing or favor, and choosing Islam for you, O mankind, as your religion.
Mm-hmm.
So as you mentioned, Allah is showing us here that He perfected His religion, and that He gave us the best of blessings, and that He's chosen for mankind Islam as our way of life.
That's true. There's a surah in the Quran where the scholars, they say it's called Suratul Ni'am. It's actually called Suratul Ni'am. This, Allah mentions so much blessings He's given us. It's called Suratul Nahl. Suratul Nahl, the scholars, they call it Suratul Ni'am. This surah, the first blessing it starts with is the blessing of La ilaha illallah. The first blessing that He mentioned is the blessing of La ilaha illallah. The fact that Allah gave us that word, La ilaha illallah. We're believers. We believe in Allah on the Day of Judgment. We believe in Him. We don't associate partners with Him. This itself is a great blessing. Also, there's a hadith, Imam al-Tirmidhi narrated, Ibn Majah, and Shaykh Nasir rahimahullah authenticated in Silsila Hadith Sahiha, that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, من أصبح منكم آمنا في سربه معافا في جسده عنده قوت يومه فكأنما حيزت لهم الدنيا بحذافيرها. Anyone from amongst you who wakes up آمنا في سربه, he's safe in his house. معافا في جسده, Allah has given you health. عنده قوت يومه, you have your daily food that you need, your daily supplement, you have it. فَكَأَنَّمَا حِيزَتْ لَهُمُ الدُّنْيَا بِحَذَافِيرِهَا. It's as though the whole entire world has been placed under your feet. It's like you've got everything. There's nothing missing from you. If you have these three, there's literally nothing that you should be looking for. To be honest, this is teaching us contentment, to be happy with what we have.
I was going to say that it's just like, it's teaching you to be content at the same time thankful, because now we see many people around the world who don't have this security and safety. They don't have a roof over their head. They don't feel safe. They might not be in good health, and they may not have daily food. So this really makes you reassess yourself. And this reminds me of another hadith that the Prophet ﷺ says to not look at those who are above you, but look at those who are below you. And if you think of the wisdom behind that, because if you look at those who are above you, unless you become, which is most of us never going to happen, the richest man on planet Earth, you're always going to have a certain sports car. You're going to want the one that costs £1 million. You want the one that costs £2 million. You're never going to be happy. But if you always look down and down and down, you can always going to say, oh, okay, I don't have the best car in the world, but that guy can't even walk. That guy rides on a donkey, for example. The guy doesn't even have a house. That guy doesn't even have, just about has one small meal a day. So we can always be thankful and content if we use those implement those principles in our life.
That's true. You know, it's amazing because Allah Ta'ala, He mentions Quraysh when He spoke to them. He said, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ الَّذِي أَطْعَمَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ وَآمَنَهُم مِّن خَوْفٍ. Like, worship the Lord of this Kaaba, Quraysh. Why? الَّذِي أَطْعَمَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ. Allah said, I provided you. Poverty struck others. You are here. I given you. I provided for you. وَآمَنَهُم مِّن خَوْفٍ. And I made your land safe for you. There's nothing to be worried about. There's nothing to be scared about. It brings us to the hadith that I just mentioned, hadith Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah, where the Prophet said, "Man asbaha minkum aminan fi sirbi." To have a place where you're safe, there's nothing to worry about. To also have a healthy body. Every day you're waking up, you're healthy. You have the food needed for that day. You see, some people think the food that you need to have has to be luxury food. It has to be 5-star meal. But to be really honest, is it 5-star meal that you really need, or hunger can be taken away by just a dry bread? Don't you think just having a dry bread and with water, do you think that cannot take away your hunger? It can. You see? And the Prophet said, فَكَأَنَّمَا حِيزَتَهُمُ الدُّنْيَا بِحَذَافِيرِهَا. It's like the whole dunya has been placed under your feet. So what did Allah say to Quraysh? He said, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا, worship the Lord of the Kaaba. Scholars, they took from this, the way to express shukr is to worship Allah Ta'ala. Ibn al-Qayyim, he says in his kitab Al-Wabil al-Sayyib, he says rahimahullah ta'ala, his kitab Wabil al-Sayyib, some people think kitab Wabil al-Sayyib is a sharh of Kalim al-Tayyib by Ibn Taymiyyah. It's not. It's actually not. It's confused. But the point is, his kitab Wabil al-Sayyib, Ibn al-Qayyim says something very powerful, which is that he says the way to show gratitude, he said, is 3 things. And even then, you've only done a portion of the gratitude that's needed. You can never really come with the right amount of gratitude. You're always going to be less than what Allah has given you.
So it's kind of like you've done the bare minimum.
You've done what you can. You've done a portion.
The very basics.
The first one, he said, الاعتراف به باطنا. To acknowledge it in your heart. Do you know what this is a blessing from Allah? Do you admit it? The person says, yes, I do. Okay, that's number one. The second one is التحدث بها ظاهرا. To talk about it. وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. It's a blessing from Allah. Talk about it. Don't hide it. Don't conceal it. Bring it out. The third one is using it and coming with righteous deeds. Staying away from the prohibited things Allah told you to stay away from. And also to what? To do what He commanded you to do. That's you showing that you're grateful of what's given to you. That you're using that blessing in the things that make Allah Ta'ala happy, and that which He loves, subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're not doing that, those 3, you're not coming with the gratitude. And if you don't come with it, what will happen? Allah Azza wa Jalla will take away from you that blessing that you have. You see, Allah tells us a story in the Quran. Allah tells us a what? He tells us a story in the Quran. لَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَإٍ فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ آيَةٌ جَنَّتَانِ عَنْ يَمِينٍ وَشِمَالٍ كُلُوا مِنْ رِزْقِ رَبِّكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لَهُ بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ. Allah tells us the story of the people of Saba. What does Allah say? لَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَإٍ فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ آيَةٌ. The people of Saba, in their story, in their place that they lived, Allah says there's an ayah, there was a sign. جَنَّتَانِ عَنْ يَمِينٍ وَشِمَالٍ. There was like a garden on both sides. جَنَّتَانِ عَنْ يَمِينٍ وَشِمَالٍ. Allah says, كُلُوا مِنْ رِزْقِ رَبِّكُمْ. Eat the provisions of your Lord. Allah says, all of this is halal for you. كُلُوا مِنْ رِزْقِ رَبِّكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لَهُ. But show and express gratitude. بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ. You have a land that's blessed. وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ. And a Lord that's forgiving. What did Allah say? فَأَعْرَضُوا. They turned away. They didn't show the gratitude that was needed. And what did Allah do? فَأَعْرَضُوا فَأَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ سَيْلَ الْعَرِمِ. Allah said, we sent to them creatures that entered into their gardens and he ate through the trees and the fruits and everything, destroyed it. Allah tells us in that surah, in that page, what does he say in Surah Saba? He says, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, he says, وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَحَادِيثَ وَمَزَّقْنَاهُم كُلَّ مُمَزَّقٍ. We ripped them apart. And we made them story to be spoken about for the people to come later. Do you know the people of Saba, what happened to them? How Allah destroyed them? The point is that the reason why Allah destroyed everything that they had and Allah took everything away from them, the reason was because they didn't show gratitude. فَأَعْرَضُوا. They turned away. So when we don't show the gratitude that's needed for these blessings, which is number one, الِاعْتِرَافُ بِهِ بَاطِنًا. Second, التحدث به ظاهرا. That you acknowledge it in your heart. And number two is that you talk about it. And number three is that you use that blessing in the way that pleases Allah Azza wa Jalla. It's by staying away from what He told you to stay away from. And do what He told you to do. If we don't do those three, Allah will take that blessing away. Allah says, ضرب الله مثلا قرية كانت آمنة مطمئنة يأتيها رزقها رغدا من كل مكان فكفرت بأنعم الله فأذاقها الله لباس الجوع والخوف بما كانوا يصنعون. What did Allah do to them? Allah tells us the story of scholars. They say this is Makkah. ضرب الله مثلا قرية كانت آمنة مطمئنة آمن مطمئن tranquility يأتيها رزقها رغدا من كل مكان. The rizq was coming to it from every place. يأتيها رزقها رغدا من كل مكان فكفرت بأنعم الله. فكفرت here means كفر النعمة. They did not show gratitude towards the blessing Allah gave them. فأذاقها الله لباس الجوع. Allah put them through poverty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فأذاقها الله لباس الجوع والخوف. And Allah put them through fear. Poverty that doesn't end. All of the countries and governments can come to help them. Allah wants them to feel poverty. وَالْخَوْفِ. Fear that's not ending. Why? Allah says, بِمَا كَانُوا يَصْنَعُونَ. Because of what they did. What did they do? They didn't show gratitude.
So basically they'd received all these blessings and all these favors, but they showed no, they denied it in the sense of they showed no, they weren't thankful. And upon that actually we've come to time for our first break. Join us inshallah for the second part of the show. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Now before the break we just touched upon how the people, they had what they were, their riches, they was taken away from them and they were put into poverty because they didn't thank Allah for what He'd given them. And we also mentioned that one of the things, ways of thanking Allah is by that she's giving you. So if you've been given wealth, one of the ways of, like you mentioned, is to recognize it, that this is from Allah, and then to speak about it, but then to use it in that which is good. So if you've been given wealth, a portion of that wealth should be using for charity, for example, putting it to good use, not the opposite way. Allah's given you riches and you spend it on forbidden things and waste it and party with it and etc. That wouldn't, even if you say you're thankful, I'm so grateful to Allah, mashallah, Allah's given me all this wealth, but you're using it for forbidden things, then in reality you're not thankful for it, because if you're thankful for it, you'd say, you'd at least use some of it at least, or a good portion of it on that which is recommended, like fasting. If you've been given health, you try to use whatever way you can use your health to help others. If you've been given a level of some skills, use those skills. You've been given knowledge, pass on that knowledge. So if we're not doing that, in reality, we're not truly thankful. If we're not using those blessings in the correct way, if we've acknowledged they came from Allah, then surely do you have to use them in the right way? Because Allah gave them to you.
The righteous people, what did Allah say? إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا إِنَّا نَخَافُ مِنْ رَبِّنَا يَوْمًا عَبُوسًا قَمْطَرِيرًا فَوَقَاهُمُ اللَّهُ شَرَّ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ وَلَقَّاهُمْ نَضْرَةً وَسُرُورًا. That's how they do. The wealth that they had, they knew it was a blessing from Allah. And so what did they do? They made sure that they gave that wealth in that which is pleasing to Allah Azza wa Jal. They gave it in the good causes out there. And they gave that money. And look what they did. When they gave that wealth out and they gave it to those in need, what did they say? إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. We're doing this all for the sake of Allah. لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكُورًا. We don't want no reward from you. We don't want no recognition from you. All we want is jaza'an. We want reward from Allah Azza wa Jal. And that we are scared. إِنَّا نَخَافُ مِنْ رَبِّنَا. We fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Fear what? They fear two things, the scholars say. The first thing that they fear is that if they don't give that wealth in the way that it should be given in, that Allah will take from them what they already have. And the second thing that they fear is that it will prevent them from the blessings that they could have. You see, the scholars, they say, shukr is qaydun lil mawjood wa saydun lil mafqood. Shukr, it brings for you what you don't have. And it allows the blessing that you already have to remain. You see, whatever blessings you had currently now, it will remain. And it won't go. The blessing won't go. And the blessing will remain. The thing that, the blessing will remain and it won't go. And you will also receive the blessings that you don't have, the things that are out there that you need. Allah will bring it for you. Allah says, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you show gratitude, I will increase it for you. I will give you more than what you already have. I'll bring you more. So this is what it is. So those people who are giving and they're doing their part in using that ni'mah in the right way, who are using that ni'mah in the right way, they are scared that if they don't use it in the way that is pleasing to Allah Azza wa Jalla, that Allah may take it away from them, or that it might prevent them, from the blessings that they don't have, that they could possibly get if they just showed gratitude. And so when you look at the Quran, you tend to find that a lot of nations, a lot of people, a lot of individuals, they lost what they had because of that. Allah says, وَأَلَّوْ اسْتَقَامُوا عَلَى الطَّرِيقَةِ لَأَسْقَيْنَاهُمْ مَاءً غَدَقًا. Like if they were steadfast on the path, what does Allah mean? Meaning they used the blessings I gave them in the right way, and that's what steadfastness is. Allah says, لَأَسْقَيْنَاهُمْ مَاءً غَدَقًا. Allah says, I will send rain down for them. What will I do? I will send rain down for them. The reason why Allah will send rain for them is it's a sign of blessing. I will bless them with fruits, vegetables, food. I will provide for them. I will send down from them for them mercy. That's what Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is saying. We all know the story that is mentioned in Surah Al-Qalam. سنسمه على الخرطوم إنا بلوناهم كما بلونا أصحاب الجنة إذا أقسموا لا يسلمونها مصبحين. Allah mentions a story here. This story is a father. This father was a righteous man. What he used to do was, Allah gave him wealth. Allah gave him a garden. This garden of his, he would allow his children and his family to eat from it. And he would also allow the needies, the poor, to come and eat from that garden. They said that whenever the time of the zakat came, he would call his children. And he would say, and he would call the poor. And he would say to these children, go help the poor. And he would say to the poor, go into my garden and take whatever you want. He would allow them to pick from whatever they felt was from their sadaqah. Because he used to believe in the ayah, وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ. So they used to take the wealth from the garden. The father was a righteous man like that. He used his wealth in what? In the way that was pleasing to Allah Azza wa Jalla. So he showed gratitude, which is the third one I mentioned, is to use the blessing of Allah in the right way. So he was doing that. But his children, they diverted from that path. When he died, They didn't want to do that anymore. They didn't want to use that blessing in the right way. What did they say? أَلَّا يَدْخُلَنَّهَا الْيَوْمَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِسْكِينٌ. Today, there's no miskin who's going to enter this garden. What are these poor people who are always coming into the garden and picking what they want from it? Never. We're not going to let them do that. So this is the plan that they made. They locked it off from them. And the plan was in the morning, no one would, أَلَّا يَدْخُلَنَّهَا عَلَيْكُمْ مِسْكِينٌ. Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, what did He tell us? Allah told us that when they woke up in the morning, what did they find? They found the garden got destroyed. Allah destroyed it, subhanahu wa ta'ala. At night time, Allah sent a wind and He, subhanahu wa ta'ala, destroyed their garden. All of it went. Nothing was remaining. And so what happened to them? They realized that they were in shortcoming. And what they did was wrong. And that they diverted from the path of their father. Because their father was a man who was steadfast and he was a man who showed gratitude to the blessings of Allah. So the garden, they lost it now. They don't own it, they don't have it. And then they realized that they came with dhulm, oppression and wrongdoing. So this is the sunanullah, Allah's way, subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is that when a people, they don't show gratitude to the blessings that are given to them, Allah takes it from them, subhanahu wa ta'ala.
It reminds me, because you mentioned the garden, it reminds me of the two people in sort of Kahf who had the two gardens. The one who, you know, the one, and the man who had this garden who basically said, I don't think this will ever, because he's attributing this great garden and all the blessings in it to himself. And he went further to say, I don't even believe that there'll be a day of judgment.
Oh.
And we, you know, as you can probably elaborate, we know how that ended up. It's a very
true.
similar story.
Arrogance and the fact that he believed all of this is from him. He went against what? الاعتراف به باطنا. Acknowledging that this is from Allah Azza wa Jalla. Allah said, كلتا الجنتين آتت أكلها ولم تظلم منه شيئا وفجرنا خلالهما نهرا. Rivers and everything, lake, things. This was a garden. It was a real garden. And his friend said to him, قال له صاحبه هو يحاوره, you know, أكفرت بالذي خلقك من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم سواك رجلا. Did you disbelieve in your Lord? Because he's full of himself now.
Because he started off saying, أنا أكثر منك مالا وولدا. You know,
صحيح.
I'm more than you in, you know, my wealth and what I have and my son. So he started off not only attributing to himself, but extra proud that look what I've done, you see, and completely denying that this was a blessing from Allah and that as it was all done. And we see people, I mean, that we could compare that to modern life. People will say, I built this empire.
That's true.
I am the one who built my company from scratch. I am the top man with absolutely no...
It's funny because you know the famous story of the three men who Jibreel came to. One was blind, one had leprosy, and the other one, one had leprosy, one was blind, and there was bald.
Yeah, it's really...
And yeah, these three men, when he came to all of them, first of all, he came to them and he brought them the blessing. He brought them the blessing to each one of them. The first time, he, you know, asked Allah for them wealth. Allah gave them wealth and everything. And they got back their skin. The one who had leprosy, his skin got better because he said the people are they're running away from you because of my skin. So through Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, he got his skin back. The other one, his hair. The one who was blind, he got his eyesight. And not only that, they all received wealth. فَمَرَّتْ سَنَةً مِنَ السِّنِينَ. Years went by. Jibreel came back to them. Each one in the form that he was in back before he received this blessing. And so Jibreel reminded each and every one of them. The first one, when he came to him, he asked him for, first of all, his wealth. He said, give it to me. Give me some of your wealth. Give me this and that. The man said, no, I can't give it to you. I can't. And then Jibreel said to him, you're like somebody I remember. Well, you're not the man so-and-so who used to have this illness. And the first one, he said, yes. Well, he said, no, I was always like this. He denied it. As for my wealth, وَرِثْنَا كَابِرًا عَنْ كَابِرًا. I received this wealth from my father got it from his father and his forefather. This has been in the family for a long time. It's been through generations. This has always been there. So he dismisses the fact that, you know, he was once upon a time. And this wallahi quality is rare to find. A person who doesn't forget. So they said the three men, the only one who remembered was the blind. He said, you're right. I was once, he didn't even get asked that point. Just the fact that the angel told him, give me some of your wealth. He goes to him, okay, I'll give it to you. There was once upon a time I never used to have this. Are you with me? There was once upon a time I never had this. And I was blind, and I was this, and Allah gave me back my this. The point is, you don't generally find people who remember the blessings when it was given to them. Al-i'tirafu bihi batinan, acknowledging that, it's rare. ولذلك I came across a benefit. You know the famous story of Zara, story of Zara. Zara was a woman. It's a famous hadith, the 11 women that sat down and they all talked about their husbands. The hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari. In there, there's a woman by the name of Zara. Zara, her husband left her and he walked away from her. But when she described her husband, Abu Zara, she described him and she spoke about him, Abu Zara, and the way she talked about him, even though he left her, she said, there has never come anyone like Abu Zara for me. She mentions the quality and the good things that he did for her. She said, I was a person who, when I came to him, I was poor and I was in need. He came and he filled my body with meat, meaning he fed me. He filled my ears and my neck with the gold. Like he provided for me. ولذلك الشراح, some of the scholars that mention here, they said, look, it's rare this quality is present in a person. ولذلك the Prophet, what did he say to Aisha? He said, I am to you like Abu Zara is to Zara. إلا أنني لا أطلقك, except I'm not going to divorce you. So Abu Zara divorced his wife. So this actually shows us this quality of recognizing, knowing the blessings of Allah. A lot of people forget it. ولذلك, how many people does somebody do good for them? And whether it be a teacher, he benefits students, he teaches him, you know, and then years go by, that student doesn't even remember the value of this teacher. He, you know, throws the table on the teacher. Who are you? What do you think you are? The poet said, إذا أفادك إنسان بفائدة من العلوم فأكثر شكره أبدا وقل فلان جزاه الله صالحة أفادنيها وألقي الكبر والحسد. You know, this person benefited you. There was a time you didn't know anything. He taught you, he educated you. He got this information, this knowledge to you. Why are you not showing gratitude? You know, why are you not showing what is required from you? You know, so if a person benefits you something, إذا أفادك إنسان بفائدة من العلوم, from the sciences and knowledges which is out there, فأكثر شكره أبدا. Increase in the, you know, shukr, showing him shukr and saying, I'm thankful for what you've done for me. وقل, and say, فلان جزاه الله صالحة. So and so, may Allah reward him in good. أفادنيها, he benefited me, and get rid of arrogance and stubbornness.
SubhanAllah. On that great point, inshallah, we'll go for the next break. Join us, inshallah, after the break. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Now for the final part of the show, we've mentioned the importance of being thankful, and we've mentioned that the main principles that you mentioned of being thankful. But what are the kind of things that we can actually do if we try to bring it down on a daily basis for the average person out there who's saying, okay, you mentioned that we should recognize the blessing and that we should talk about it and then we should do things with the blessings that please Allah. Maybe we can emphasize in the last 12, 13 minutes we have, what are these kind of things that we can do? What are the kind of deeds that we can encourage the people to be thankful of Allah?
You see, what people, a lot of the times when you look at people and they think of the concept of patience or they think about the concept of gratitude, they always think gratitude is towards the good and patience is towards the evil and the bad and the hardship and the suffering. No, that's not real and that's not correct. Because sometimes the blessing that you have is actually not a blessing. You think it's a blessing. Allah says, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً وَإِلَيْنَا تُرْجَعُونَ. We will test you with good and we will test you with what? With evil. The blessing can be a test. And the good that you think you're having can be a test itself. So you have to realize that not every single time when you get what you want, are you necessarily being given a blessing. So another thing is contemplating and pondering. It's very vital. Everything around you, try to take a lesson from it. Try to analyze it, observe it. Don't be a person lets things go by like it didn't happen. It's very vital you ponder over it and you think about it. Yesterday I was in a taxi, and whilst I was a taxi driver, I actually bought myself 2 wraps. It was for me, I wanted to have it. And so when I came in, it wouldn't make sense for me to have it by myself. So I said, Bismillah. And then I said to the brother, you know, it was an Afghani brother, I said, you know, you can have this. And so when I gave it to him, in my head something hit me. The place that he picked me up from, and where I got it from, and the money I paid for it, and how Allah Ta'ala, to him, it was written that I wasn't going to eat this. It was all written. That this is for this particular man. And so I couldn't stop but bring this up to the brother. I said, look, you came out of your house, and you didn't know that today your the wrap, I mean, it's small, but it's powerful when you really think about it, that it was in somebody else's hand. And you know what he said to me? He said, to be honest, I was actually so hungry before when you offered it to me. So you never know where Allah Ta'ala, it's just everything about your situation. If you just think about it, you ponder, you analyze it, you really can, it can amaze you, especially if that thought just keeps growing and growing and you increase more. The more, like the fact that I didn't just keep it to myself, but I actually told the brother, and then he told me his side, and just so much came out of it.
It reminds me, I mean, it was something that I remember one of the sheikhs, I believe it was Sheikh Uthman al-Khamis, he was saying, there's a verse in the Quran, he said, if you can just really and truly implement this once in your life, you would have done a great thing. And if I can remember the verse correctly, it's the verse that says, لَمْ تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ, that you will not truly attain proper piety until you spend of that which you love, which means, to some extent, I know that the wrap is not exactly what we're talking about, but at that time you could have also been very hungry, but you chose to give to him. Or we may have been giving a certain amount of wealth and we really love that, or a certain item, and we see that that person can benefit, and our love for that item or that particular amount of money, particular watch, particular whatever it may be, is really great. But we say, to give to this person, I will get great reward, and it will bring more happiness or pleasure to them. And we take that thing that we really love and we spend it for Allah's sake. That is something that really, again, would be an ultimate display of being thankful to Allah, that you've given this, what was given to you, this blessing, to someone who needs it and would appreciate it more than you. Then you have reached
the highest level.
This high level of righteousness.
There's a story mentioned in Surah Al-Hashr. A man and his wife they lived in a house. They didn't have much. They only had food left for their son, their child. And a guest came over. A guest had come over, and when this guest came over, he came, and so what they did was they both went and spoke to each other, the wife and the husband, and they said to each other, "What food can we give this guest? We don't have anything." And she said to him, "I've only got the children's food." And he goes, "Because a guest came to us today, and we need to take care of this guest." And the guest was actually somebody who the Prophet ﷺ had told them to look after. We can't push away the Prophet's guest. So what they did was, both of them, they fed the guest with the food from the children, the children's food. The amazing part of the story is that when the food was presented, the food was put in front of the man, this man, he didn't want him to see that he's not eating with him. So he told his wife, switch off the light when you bring the meal, and that's it. So what he was doing is just pushing the food for him. Just, allowing him to eat. So number one, it's not his food, it's his children's food. Second is that he's not eating. He's actually pushing the food towards him. So when they fed them guest, and the guest slept at night, in the morning, the companion, he came to the Prophet ﷺ's masjid to pray for Salatul Fajr. And when he turned around, the Prophet ﷺ turned around and he saw the man in the gathering. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna Allah ajaba min sani'atikuma." Allah was fascinated with what you and your wife did last night. And the ayah came down, وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ. the person who takes away from something that they want. You wanted it for yourself, and you desired it, but you chose to take it away from yourself and to give it to somebody else. You wanted it. وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ. To be honest, the rap, I could have lived without it, so it's nothing to do with that. One was, to be honest, one was more than enough. I just in case. But the point of the story is that man really gave his children's food out. And so this is a quality that not many people can get. That you look at yourself and you look at somebody else, you say, he needs it more than me. And you have nothing after that. Some people would give to you after they know they've got something for themselves. That itself, if we can get today, is amazing, right? But imagine a person would go as far as, well, some of the salaf, they were said that the poor people would look at them and say, hey, don't ask him, he's going to take off his t-shirt. He's going to take off his upper garment and he's going to give it to you. Like, he will not stop. He would give you something.
Like they say in English, he'll give the clothes off of his back. Like, even if that's all he owns.
Yeah, that's all he owns, yeah. There's some people from the salaf that would never ask. The poor people would walk away from them because they knew that it was so embarrassing. If they asked, he would give them something. He would give them something. He would take something away from himself, even if he has nothing. And to be honest, wallahi, when we gain gratitude, especially nowadays, when you look at, I mean, I was on a flight with a brother one time. We came down from the flight. It was good. It was so nice. It was a good flight. He didn't like it because he was told to stand 5 minutes at the door because some complications happened. Just 5 minutes. And me. There's nothing big. But we've been taught, after you go, complaint section. There's a comment section, you go, you complain. Even when you go to the bank, there's a smiley face, there's a straight face, and there's an angry face. So you just press which button you want. You just don't show gratitude. And the service was good. There was a guy, just the other day, there was a guy in front of me in the bank. We went, and I was always press the smiley face. So he came, sitting in front of me. The number came. They dealt with him. And I came, and as he was walking, he just pressed a angry face. I just came and pressed a smiley. There was nothing that happened. But we've been taught, just the way we've become as humans today, is that gratitude is very low. For a person to actually be happy with what you do for them, it's very hard, wallah. Really, really hard.
We're also always finding the smallest faults, like you said. There may have been something, but as you said, there's nothing apparent that would have made him choose. Maybe a neutral face at least, but he chose the angry face. And there was nothing apparent. But that's the problem also. We've, apart from we've lost being truly thankful to Allah, we've also lost that thing of being thankful. And we know that the hadith, the meaning of which is that those who are not thankful to what the people do for them are not truly thankful to Allah. Yeah. So this is an element that we also need to improve on. And the reality is, most likely, it was just something small, but then he put the whole experience, like you mentioned, a bit of a delay getting off a plane. Even though you had a great service from the steward or the stewardess, the whole service, the whole flight, and the comfort and everything, but you switch. We've become many of us, or in societies today, to be so fussy, so ungrateful across the board, not only with Allah, but even with His creation. So and this is not the way that we should be. We should not be natural complainers. We should say to ourselves, alhamdulillah, overall, that was a good service. Yeah, the bank guy was a bit slow, but he gave me a good service generally. But like you said, we've turned away from that. I guess now in the last 5 minutes or so, 4 or 5 minutes, what are some of the things, blatant things that we do, apart from maybe what we just touched upon, that even if we think we're being thankful to Allah, in reality we're not really achieving it? Some of the acts that we do in our daily life that really go against really being thankful to Allah.
Definitely the concept of just always looking at somebody who's higher than you, that you mentioned in the beginning, which is consistently, لا تنظر إلى من هو فوقك. Don't look at who's higher than you. When it comes to worldly matters. Religious, yes. Like in worldly matters, no. Make sure that you look at the person who's lower than you, because that makes you have more gratitude. Like really, when you look at somebody who doesn't have what you have, you start realizing, subhanallah, I am actually blessed. Especially look at just two blessings that really are fundamental blessings, wallahi. نعمتان مغبون فيهما كثير من الناس الصحة والفراغ. Look at the health that you have. Look at the free time Allah has given you, subhanahu wa ta'ala. To have both of them is a great blessing. That's a great blessing.
But most of us don't take advantage.
But we don't, exactly. Just sit and think about that. You have health. Like, there's people out there. There's a brother right now who graduated from Medina University, and the brothers, you know, recently, he's young. He got afflicted with cancer.
Yeah.
It's all over social media. It's sad, wallahi, when you look at it. The brother recently was just learning how to walk. After 48 hours of not being able to walk, he was in surgery. Wallahi, when you think about that, that could be you. That could be the next person. Like as-sihha, they said it's a crown on the head of the one who is healthy, and the ill one is the only one who can see it.
SubhanAllah. So, I mean, to end, Jazakallah khair for coming on the show, and to end, time and health, that's pretty much sums it all up. Be thankful to Allah, use your time, use your health while you have it to do what's good, benefit people, benefit society, live your life as a good Muslim, and a good Muslim not only worships Allah, he is a good citizen, a good person, a good neighbor, a good father, and we could go on. And inshallah, until next time, bi'idhnillah, I leave you as always. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.